June 2 is suing ex-client Pat Meyer for unpaid babysitting fees and defamation of character. Pat claims June is running an unsafe daycare.
All rise. Yes, this is case number 100 on the calendar in the matter of Chu versus Meyer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Ms. Chu, you provided daycare for Miss Meyer's baby, child, toddler?
Yes, 4 years old at the time.
And it is your claim that she owes you some money. She owes you some money for daycare that you actually provided.
Right.
And then punitive damages because you claim that she defamed you. When, after you sued her for the money that she owed you in small claims court, she called the state and reported that your daycare facility was substandard.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what the case is about. And Ms. Meyer says she had every right to call the state with regard to the unsanitary and unsafe conditions in your house, because that's why she removed her child from your daycare facility, and she doesn't owe you anything.
Yes.
When did you bring your 4-year-old to Miss Chu to babysit?
January 17th.
Of
2005, yes, ma'am.
And how did you find her?
A co-worker of mine had her child in her care.
And she was satisfied?
Well, she worked late hours and she didn't have no other choice, ma'am.
Well, you wouldn't have put your child in a daycare facility unless you said to this co-worker of yours, are you satisfied?
Quite honestly, I was desperate to find a daycare. I just started at my job at the beginning of December, and I needed to have daycare. Since I just started, I was not financially free to pay $450 up front for other daycares.
So?
So I talked to her, and she said, well, go ahead and try it. Mrs. Chu talked to me. She said, right now I'm kind of full. I have too many children, but it's okay. I can take him. It's okay. I got myself in trouble before.
How many children did she have at the time?
I'm not sure. Like
You
I
didn't
said,
ask?
I wasn't in the daycare facility.
What do you mean you weren't in the facility?
We just kind of met at a stable and talked about stuff like this.
You met where?
At a stable. I was going to buy her horse. That's how we met initially.
I thought you met initially through a coworker.
Yes, ma'am. The co-worker has a horse, Miss Chu has a horse, and I wanted to purchase a horse. Her horse was
to buy a horse?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't have $450 to pay up front for a daycare, and you wanted to buy a horse?
Yes, ma'am.
Explain that to me.
I was looking into buying a horse. But
For what?
To ride, ma'am.
Keep going.
Like I said, I went to look for a daycare.
Now, Fred, last time you spoke to me, you were looking for a horse.
Yes, ma'am.
And
From
you
there
met her
we
at a
talked.
stable. And you hadn't been to the daycare facility yet. Stop
No,
playing around with your hair.
I called her on a Saturday. I said, you know, I know you have a daycare. Is it possible for Jason to attend your daycare? She said, come on by on Monday. I went there, dropped him off.
Who had babysat for your son when you started working?
His godmother.
Well, what happened to her babysitting?
She had another job coming up that she was working, and she said she can't do it no more.
So you found her and you dropped him off without ever having seen the inside of the facility?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a husband?
Yes, ma'am.
What does he do for a living?
He's working in retail.
Did you end up buying her horse?
No, ma'am.
You have a horse?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you buy it?
Late February.
How much did you pay for it?
$600.
Where do you keep it?
Sally Hill.
At a stable?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much do you pay to board the horse at the stable?
$225.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
You got your priorities a little bit backwards, Miss Mayer. You got your priorities backwards. Before you take your horse, you find an appropriate daycare for your child. Not one where you don't have to pay up front. Because according to the figures that you just gave me, you had $600 to buy a horse and $225 to board the horse, and you didn't have $450 to pay for what you might consider an appropriate daycare up front. You have other children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
2.
How old are they?
15 and 10.
So you got a lot of extra money. Must have a lot of extra money if you have a horse. Oy. Now, I'm not getting into how many children you're licensed for. I'm not getting into any of that. Just tell me, how long have you been a daycare provider?
7 years.
When did she first bring her son into your daycare?
In January.
And how long did you take care of him?
She had him out for a week, and Good Friday. And then she brought him back, and it was April 4th, and he was in my home April 4th and April 5th. And on April 5th, that was the last day that she brought him. So,
how much did she owe you when she took her son out on the 5th?
She owed me for the 28th week, and then she also owed me for that week that he was in my care, but she took him out.
Okay, let me see the contract that she signed. And it's $85 a week.
Yes, ma'am.
So she owes you, according to you, for 2 weeks.
She owes me for 2 weeks and then a 2 weeks notice, which is also in the contract because she quit without any kind of notice to me. She sent me a letter on 4/6 by certified mail saying, thank you for your services. Basically, I don't need you anymore.
Can I see the letter she
Sure.
sent?
And then I returned with another letter to her explaining what I was expecting of her at that time. And in all honesty, Judge, I wasn't going to do another thing with her because when you're a daycare, you are...
Right. I got it. But then she went and filed a complaint.
Right. And I've been in business a long time, and I am inspected by the state and the health department 6 months every year, and they have never had a problem with my home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was with me 5 months, or 4 months after that.
No, she wasn't.
Well-
Listen to me.
Okay.
Don't be a fast talker. I don't like fast talkers.
And later today,
How old are you, Mr. Ingram?
I'll be 48 in 2 weeks.
And how old are you, Miss Murray?
I'm 25.
Okay. Me-
You got to find friends your own age.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Child care provider June 2 says ex-client Pat Meyer owes for daycare fees and defamation of character as a result of filing false charges with the state. Pat claims June's parrot bit her son.
Go ahead.
Okay, the reason why we pulled Jason out of her care was because her macaw parrot bit Jason. He had the chance to walk across the dining room table, walk up his arm, and bite him because he wouldn't let go of his pretzel. I've got the pictures for it.
Okay.
And another child also bit him in the arm, and we just had enough.
When was the parrot bite?
6 months prior.
Just
to-
a second.
Oh.
When was the parrot bite?
It happened in March.
And what about the bite from the child?
The bite happened on the 5th of April. That's where we pulled him out.
Tell me about the bite.
The bite from the child?
Yes.
Okay. Well, and let me just notate, the bite from the bird was not a bite, and he was not on my dining room table.
I don't care where he was. Shouldn't have been around children.
But
Shouldn't have been around children.
okay, well, I'll agree with that.
Good.
Okay. As far as the bite from the child,
But that didn't precipitate her removing the child from your care.
right?
'Cause
She
if
was
the-
with me 5 months or 4 months after that.
No, she wasn't.
Well-
Listen to me.
Okay.
Don't be a fast talker. I don't like fast talkers. Child started with you in January, February, and March. That's 3 months.
Correct.
So don't say it was 6 months before, because 6 months the child wasn't in your care.
That's true, but
Okay. But she still brought the child back after the incident with the bird, but did not want to return with the child almost immediately after the bite.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll explain that too.
Go ahead.
Okay. JJ was in my home, and that is why I brought my daughter today, because she's a witness to his behavior. And I have a little boy who is hearing impaired. And when the little boy came into the house that day, JJ immediately knocked him down. I mean, just pushed him down for no reason. I have basically 2 rooms, and each go into each other. And the next thing I know, the little boy who is hearing impaired comes running out of that room again because JJ pushed him down again. She didn't also tell you the story that her child punched that little boy in the face.
That day, on the 4th,
Yes, 5th.
on the 5th, the little boy retaliated by biting him.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what
Where
happened.
were you?
I was standing right there. And next thing I know, her son punches, and he grabs his arm and bites him that quick. I mean, it happens so very quick.
Okay, fine. Now, mother, she's upset. Child was bitten by another child. Pulls the child out. Fine. You called the authorities?
I made
You
some-
called the authorities.
Yes, ma'am.
When?
I don't remember. I really don't. Maybe 2 weeks afterwards.
Why?
Because I don't feel that she's taken the care that she should by the daycare that she has for the children.
Well, why didn't you call the authorities the next day?
I took the day off Wednesday to find a new daycare, and
That doesn't answer my question.
I just didn't have the time.
Well, what inspired you to call 2 weeks later? When did you receive the small claims summons that she filed against you? All that's documented, so
yes,
you might as well...
I don't know the date.
But the phone call that you made to the authorities was after that.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yes.
Now I'd like to see the report from the authorities when they came to do the inspection.
The first one's the dog catcher report, and the second one is the health inspector.
Who's taking care of your son now?
He's at home with his siblings and Mrs. Oliver again.
What did you do between the 6th of April and the 27th of May?
Oh, I'm sorry. He was in Koala Daycare.
How much did they charge you?
$95 a week.
And if you were unhappy with Miss Tu's daycare, you could have put him in for an extra $10 a week to this other daycare.
I wasn't aware of that daycare at that time.
You should have been. If you spent a little more time choosing an appropriate daycare rather than shopping around for a horse, you could have been aware of the best daycare in your vicinity. I have, very little patience for somebody who spends any extra time on anything else when they have 3 children looking for quality daycare, which should be your first priority. First, not third, not second.
At that time, I was thinking I was doing the best I could by giving him
You don't
home
tell me
daycare.
the best you could. The best you could is, you just told me that everybody else wanted up front $450, and she didn't, so you chose her. And yet at the same time, you were looking for a horse, and you bought a horse for $600.
Yes, ma'am.
Same month.
No, ma'am, it was the end of February.
A month later.
Yes, ma'am.
She owes you $340 for the daycare.
Yes, ma'am.
She also owes you $300 because I believe she filed this in retaliation and nothing more for your filing a small claim summons against her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When I turned around to put his jacket on, I noticed the injury on his neck, and I asked her what happened. And next thing, she pulls out this huge bird that's almost taller than my child.
My parrot is not as big as her child. And not only that, I've had kids that I've had since they were 5 months old and still have, and they're 4 years old.
Obviously, I made a mistake, and I will never do that again.
Truth does tell. She'd rather spend money on her horse than her child.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of English versus Murray. Step forward, please.
Bartender Dana English is suing his former friend, 25-year-old bartender Lara Murray, for a series of unpaid loans. Dana claims Lara used him.
Mr. English, you claim a series of loans to the defendant who was a friend of yours.
Yes.
Miss Murray says that you were a kind friend. You gave her money. That's exactly what you did. You gave her money, and everything that you gave her were gifts. There was never any intention for her to repay those gifts, and it only became a problem when she rebuffed your romantic intentions.
No.
Okay. How old are you, Mr. English?
I'll be 48 in 2 weeks.
And how old are you, Miss Murray?
I'm 25.
Okay. Me.
You got to find friends your own age, Mr. English. Then this sort of thing doesn't happen. According to what I read in your complaint, you hired Miss Murray to work as a hostess in a restaurant that you manage.
She was hired at the restaurant I worked at, yes.
When?
October
Of what year?
2003.
When was the first loan you made her?
The insurance payment of October of 04,
How much?
$120.
And what was the arrangement, according to you, for repayment of that loan?
Lara said she would repay me the money because she didn't have it. She wasn't working that much.
So she said eventually she'll pay
Yes.
you back. When was the next loan?
It was for December, also a car insurance payment of $120.
December of 2004.
Yes.
Between October and December, had she paid you any money back of the first loan?
No.
When was the next loan?
The next loan was a car company called about the loan for her car. They didn't say it was her car. It was a $300 payment that I made, put the account number on it, and it was for her car, not mine. When I told Lara about this, she said she would repay me the $300.
Just a minute. So you made a car payment and they put it in the wrong account?
Yes.
Oh.
It had her account number on it, not mine, on the check.
How did you have her account number?
Because I said the loan company called me and told me she was behind on her
Why
behind
would
on
they
a car
call you?
payment. Because I had co-signed the loan.
Oh, just when did you co-sign the loan, sir?
That would be in September of 2004. That was the second car I co-signed for her.
When was the first car that you co-signed for her?
May of 2003.
May I say something?
Not yet.
Okay.
What other monies did you loan to her, sir?
Lara came to live with me towards the end of January, and she needed clothes for work. We went out shopping, and I spent $118 on clothes for her to go to work.
Between October of 2004, when you gave her the first loan, and January of 2005, when you loaned her money to buy clothes, when she came to live with you, had she paid you back any of the original $120?
No, ma'am.
You get where I'm going, Mr. English?
I was a very good friend, and I got used.
Fine. So what are you doing in court?
Lara told me she'd pay me back. She just then said, I called her, she called me one night and said, sue me, so I sued her.
Now I'll hear you.
Well, I started working at the restaurant in October of 2002. So that's when I met him, and I've been friends with him ever since. I got my car in May of 2003, and I was short some money, and he said that if I needed it, that he could help me out. Anytime he'd buy me Christmas presents, birthday presents.
He's not talking about Christmas or birthday presents, Miss Murray.
Oh, I know.
He's talking about cash.
Yeah. Anytime I needed help, that I was saying that I needed help with my family, he was always there. He was always calling me, coming over, helping take my aunt to the grocery store. He doesn't have any other friends. I have a lot of friends, and when I started hanging out with my other friends more and not hanging out with him, his feelings got hurt, and then that's when he would start saying, well, I want this back, or I want to hang out with you at least one day a week. Then it started getting weird, and I started pulling back because I looked to him like a father figure. He is. He's like a father figure.
Why did you move into his house in January?
I only stayed. I was fighting with my family. I didn't move in. I was only there a couple of days.
She was there
How
for
long?
approximately 4 to 5 weeks.
No, I don't think
Off and
that's
on, yes.
Off and on.
But she was there.
Not straight.
No.
She went out and would stay away for days at a time and then come back.
Right.
Mr. English, you play around with a baby. This is you get babyish behavior.
Well, when she said she's going to repay me, I expected her to be repaid.
Well, Mr. English, I have to determine whether you had a legitimate expectation of being repaid. And when somebody borrows money in October and they don't pay you back, you don't lend them more money in December,
Well, when she keeps
and more, I'm speaking, and more money in January. You don't do that because then you don't have an expectation of being paid back. Eventually she'll pay you back if you live that long. Not from this court. You gotta learn, wisen up. She's a baby. She's still out there, you know, growing up. You're all grown up. Fortunately, the whole business cost you $797?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you say, $797. It was a cheap lesson. Is she making car payments?
No.
What happened to the car?
The car was repoed. It is being auctioned off today to make up the money that she owes on the car loans and the car being towed. She totaled the car. She wrecked both cars.
Find a nice contemporary friend. Thank you very much. That's all.
Please excuse me, step out.
Is suing her biological daughter, 17-year-old Jessica Simons, and Jessica's adoptive sister, Kathy Brooks, for the money she spent when Jessica came to live with her. Jessica and Kathy are countersuing, claiming Angela stole Jessica's Social Security checks.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 449 on the calendar in the matter of Nemechek versus Brooks Simons. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Looks like a lot of witnesses here for a relatively simple case. Miss Nemechek,
Yes.
I assume that this is Jessica?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you are Jessica's birth mother.
Yes.
And Jessica was adopted by a family when she was 4 years old.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are her sister,
Yes.
adoptive sister,
Yes.
and both of her adoptive parents passed away, unfortunately, from illness. For a period of time, she was staying with you.
Yes.
And then, Miss Nemechek, Jessica decided that she wanted to come and live with you.
Yes.
And she did for a short period of time.
Yes, Your Honor.
3 months, 4 months?
2.5 months. That was
And during-
3.5 months.
3.5 months. And during that time, you purchased some clothing for her and had other expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then there was a falling out.
Yes,
And
Your
she
Honor.
went back to her sister's home.
Correct.
She and her sister came and got all this stuff that you had purchased for Jessica.
Yes.
And you want to be compensated for that.
Yes.
You're Miss Brooks?
Yes.
You have a counterclaim on behalf of your sister because you have guardianship of her now.
Correct.
And that is for reimbursement from the Social Security checks
Correct.
that was sent to Ms. Nemechek. And you want that money back because you say that was hers to spend.
Correct.
Ms. Nemechek, how old was Jessica when she was adopted?
4.
And did you have contact with her from age 4 to age 17?
Yes, I did.
When?
Periodically. Periodically. I've had phone calls with them. I've went and seen them. Me and their godmother, the one that adopted them, was really good friends. That's the reason why I let her adopt them, was because of my sickness that I do have, and currently still have.
Is that a physiological or a mental illness?
Physiological and mental.
Did you support your daughter over the years with money?
When I seen them at times, I did when I could financially afford it.
I'm talking about regular support.
No.
When your daughter came to live with you, I assume that either you weren't getting along with your sister, is that right?
Well, I just wanted to go live with my mom. I just wanted to get to know her. I wanted to have a mother-daughter relationship with her.
Do you approve of that?
At first, no, because of all the problems that we have had with Angela.
What kind of problems?
She would call their schools when my parents were alive, trying to get them out of school. Jessica and I are, we do fight a lot, and I think we do because you don't go from being a sister to trying to be a mother. And, you know, when someone is, 14 years old, our relationship changed because...
Were you married when your parents died?
Yes.
You have children?
I have 3 children.
And you took your sister to live with you?
I took both of my sisters to live with me.
And this was the older sister?
Yes.
Is that right? She take good care of you?
Yes.
I love her. She's my sister. I'm not gonna do this. When Jessica came to me and told me she wanted to know Angie, sorry.
Would it be better if I asked you questions?
No, I need to say this because it's important. I don't know what it's like not knowing your parents. So who was I to tell Jessica that she couldn't get to know her biological mother? Unfortunately, Angela, in the whole time since my parents have had Venus and Jessica and their older brother David, my parents adopted 3 of her children so they could stay together. She never could step up to the plate and act like an adult and knock on my door and say, hey, Kath, I'm sorry your parents died. I really want to help. I really would like to get to know my daughter.
She would sneak around and see us, basically.
So it was very hard for me to let Jessica go, but I spoke with Jessica all the time. She gets a death benefit from my parents. That's what she has left of my parents.
And what did you do with your death benefit, Jessica?
I signed the money over to my mother so she can put it in her bank. And she said she would save the money for me so I can buy a car.
Did you do that, Ms. Nemechek?
I did put that money in the bank. I put it in my savings account, and Jessica kept asking me for money, and I kept taking it out of my savings account and giving it to her. I do have proof of that.
Well, how much in the 3 months that she was there? You got 3 checks?
I got 2.
How much were they for?
$931 each.
One was $931, one was $731, and that was it.
How much did she get?
$931 each a month, and it was a total of $2,700 and some odd dollars that was given to her from her death benefit.
Well, let's say, for argument's sake, it was about $2,000. When your daughter decided to go back, how much of the money that she turned over to you did you return to her or put in a savings account in her name?
She had none. She had taken that all out with withdrawals.
How could I...
Just a second.
Okay.
Let us assume that that's true. Who are you suing and for what?
The money that the 2 checks that she received, that Kathy had gave her, we gave her more money besides that.
You're her mother. Who's supposed to take care of
I signed my rights over.
Then
I signed my rights over.
Then Ms. Nemechek...
She's getting a check, Miss Kathy Brooks.
I'm speaking.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's not just about the money.
Well, if it's not just about the money, you're in the wrong place. Go to a psychiatrist. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here about the money. Other than that, you can go find Dr. Phil someplace. He'll be more than happy to hear you.
And later today,
Which one of you was driving the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was drunk?
Both of us.
Okay, Mr. Rice had about $1,200 worth of damage to his property. Who's going to pay for it? I don't see those hands going up.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Nemechek is suing her biological daughter, Jessica Simons, and Jessica's adoptive sister, Kathy Brooks, for money she spent on Jessica's behalf. Angela says Jessica lived with her for 3 months when her adoptive parents died.
If you don't want to be her mother, then you say, I'm sorry you can't come to live with me. But when you buy her clothes, things that you should have been buying for her for 17 years, and she decides, I am speaking, and you give it to her, that is a gift. You don't get that back. You get to say, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I know I wasn't much of a parent to you when you were growing up. I know that you had lovely parents. Fortunately, I wasn't there for you. This little bit is my small bit, aside from the fact that you got a couple of $1,000s that you spent, because $100 here and $100 there over 3 months don't come out to $2,000.
I have all my proof.
I don't care what you have. What you don't have, clearly, is a conscience. You're supposed to do the right thing.
You have no idea what I went through in the past 17 years with
That's
these
not,
people.
listen to me. Whatever happened to you over 17 years, you visited on yourself, and you also visited on your children. Because whatever problems you had, you decided to have children. Mm-hmm. They didn't make that choice. You made that choice.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
quite frankly, nobody is interested in what you went through over 17 years. That's your problem. You visited your problems on innocence. And when you do that, you don't get sympathy. And when you do that...
The reason why I gave up my kids is because I have leukemia. I was told I had 2 years to live.
Listen to me very carefully. If God blessed you and said, while you had 2 years to live, here you are, 15 years later, still alive and kicking,
Barely.
then what you do if your daughter comes back to you and you've given her a couple of $1,000s in clothes that you didn't take care of over her entire growing up years, and you decided to do it,
Your
and
Honor,
if it didn't work
buy
out...
her clothes in between those 17 years.
Miss Nemechek, quite frankly, I find your behavior bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. If you suffer from an illness, and if you're giving me that as an excuse for giving up your children, despite the fact that years later you're still here, and if you had the unique opportunity of getting to know your children again, then you don't terminate that by suing them. That's stupid
I'm
and
not suing
amoral.
my daughter. I'm suing
All
the
right.
person that gave her supposedly gave her money that she never gave her.
That has nothing to do with you. It's not your money. It's not your money.
Exactly.
It's Bird's money. It's the citizens' money. It's not your money. Now, but for the fact, Miss Brooks, just a second. Don't
I have
move.
them walk up here?
No, I don't need them. I said there are an awful lot of witnesses here for a relatively simplistic case. There's nothing that I don't understand that I have to have
Well, there's
made
a lot
clear.
more to this case, Your Honor. It's not just about the money.
Well, if it's not just about the money, you're in the wrong place. Go to a psychiatrist. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here about the money. That's what courts are for. Other than that, you can go find Dr. Phil someplace. He'll be more than happy to hear you. Now, shh, Miss Brooks, but for the fact that Miss Nemechek brought this action against you, would you have counterclaimed for the money that Jessica gave her?
Yes, we actually already hired an attorney to help us write up the complaint against Miss Nemechek. I also have a letter from our bank stating that Jessica's death benefit did come out of her account.
Well, let me see the letter from the bank. How long do you receive the death benefits for, Jessica?
Till I'm 18 and out of school, high school.
Well, this letter indicates, Miss Nemechek, that there were 3 checks, all in the amount of $931.
Well, all I have here is a deposit on August 9th for $731.
That doesn't mean that you didn't get $931.
And then I
that
have
means that
a deposit here
I'm
on
speaking.
September.
I'm speaking. Death benefits don't change by $200. So that means that you may have deposited $731 and taken $200 in cash.
I don't recall that, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't recall, that's why I have this from the bank. So 931 times 3 is $2,793. What'd you do with it?
Right here.
Oh, let me see it. Perfect. What's Sprint?
That's a cell phone bill.
$122?
Yes.
Get it. I don't know what this is. This is nothing. White Fox Den, $28. What's that for?
That's food.
Food?
Food.
Oh my God.
Walgreens. Sunglasses. 3 pairs of sunglasses. Shampoo. What's that for?
It's for Jessica.
Miss Nemechek, I think you're a bad lady.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Nemechek is suing her biological daughter, Jessica Simons, and Jessica's adoptive sister, Kathy Brooks, for money she spent on Jessica's behalf. Angela says Jessica lived with her for 3 months when her adoptive parents died.
I think you're a bad lady. And I believe your daughter when she said you were going to take these checks and put them in an account for her, and the purpose of that account was that when she got to be old enough, she was going to be able to buy a car for herself. I believe you told her that, and I believe that you then went through your trash can and picked out receipts that you decided for your home, for you and your husband and whoever else lives there, that the government was going to be responsible for. If you supported your daughter yourself for 3 months and you've given her no other support her whole life, you ought to thank God that somebody took care of her for the 14 years that you didn't. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $2,793. Your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wouldn't let her have custody over me, and that's just a way of revenge for her, I guess. Suing her own daughter.
I have one daughter here. She's the one I'll help because I know she never screws me like the other one did.
She was just doing everything behind everybody's back.
My son Scott, she came to his school and asked him to go and do drugs with her.
I'll see her in the next court on that one.
She does need professional help. Definitely, she does.
Maybe later on in life, if I'm not dead, then she can come around. But then again, my husband don't want her ever around.
I think it's ridiculous. I have nothing to do with her anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rice versus Welkowitz. Winnie, step forward.
Restaurant owner David Rice is suing 18-year-old James Welkowitz and his former friend, 18-year-old James Winnie, for damaging his restaurant's sign when they were driving drunk.
Welkowitz, raise your hand. Winnie, raise your hand. Which one of you was driving the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was the passenger in the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was drunk?
Both of us.
Raise your hand. Mr. Rice, you are the owner of a Wendy's.
Yes, I am.
These two idiots came through your drive-thru.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wilkowitz driving the car?
I believe so, yes.
And Mr. Winnie, passenger in the car.
Yes.
One of them wanted free food.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your hand if you wanted free food. Raise your hand! And when they were told they couldn't get free food, they drove off.
Sped off, yes, Your Honor.
And damaged some of your property.
Hit a light pole and ran over a sign. Yes, ma'am.
And you want them to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the damage, please?
Yes. I have pictures also, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the pictures. I'd like to see the estimates.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, Bert, thank you. And I have police reports also.
We'll see. Date of the incident, please.
October 21st, 2004.
October 21st. That's my birthday.
Happy birthday. My brother's birthday also.
Now, you gentlemen were not celebrating my birthday, were you? What were you celebrating on October 21st?
What were we celebrating? We were just having a night out, just drinking.
And whose car were you driving, Mr. Wilkowitz?
I was driving his car.
And how did you get the keys to his car, Mr. Wilkowitz?
He gave them to me. He asked me to drive because he was too drunk. He was swerving all over the road because we just got back from Taco Bell.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
What do you do?
I do construction.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
June 04.
And you?
I didn't graduate, Your Honor.
How old are you?
I graduate this year.
How old are you?
18.
Are you on a 5-year plan
No,
of high
8.
school?
No.
A 6-year plan?
I started school late.
You think you're going to get smarter by being drunk?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Rice has had about $1,200 worth of damage to his property. Who's going to pay for it? I don't see those hands going up.
Hey, Your Honor, can I say something, though?
That's wiping your nose, sir. I don't see the hands going up. Who's
I just
gonna
wanted
pay?
to bring up that he did break my nose. We got out the car, I pulled over, he broke my nose, I had to go to the hospital.
He broke your nose. That before or after you damaged Mr.
After.
Shh. Was that before or after you damaged Mr. Rice's property?
After I damaged his property.
Why would I care about that? I'm going to say it again. You were driving.
Yes, Your Honor.
It was your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Raise your hand and tell me who's going to pay for Mr. Rice's damaged pole and sign. Ugh.
Can I say something, Your Honor? The only reason why I hit the sign because he grabbed the wheel.
Why would I grab the own wheel in my car?
Why were you in the car with him when you were drunk?
He took my keys from my friend's mom.
Yes. That doesn't tell me how you got into the car, sir.
Because he was about to take off with my car.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's lying.
Oh.
I can't anymore. I can't anymore. I mean, it's Dumb and Dumber. They were the standard for the script.
You read my mind.
Mr. Rice.
Yes, ma'am.
Sad but true. Youth of America. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,200. Bird. Just take him out.
Okay. Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I was the manager on the shift, and they came through drunk, rude.
He only got 6 months probation and a night in jail. I got 93 days in jail and a year of probation.
It would have never happened if he wouldn't took my keys.
Judge Judy is always fair, and she's just like Dave Thomas of Wendy's. She does the right thing, and that's why I brought it to her attention, and I knew we would get satisfaction.
Is suing her neighbor or Zanger for damage to her home caused by his peacocks, a dog attack, and defamation of character.
Hush, hush. Your Honor, this is case number 118 on the calendar in the matter of Sear versus Zanger. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Sear, you and Mr. Zanger are neighbors.
Yes, we are.
But I gather the properties are spread out.
They're very far apart.
How many acres do you have?
I have 6.5.
And Mr. Zanger, how many acres do you have property?
Just short of 6.
This is your complaint, that Mr. Zanger keeps peacocks, and he also has dogs.
Yes.
You claim that his peacocks got out of his property and came onto your property and ate your screens. That his dogs attacked your dogs. You have vet bills that you want him to pay for. And that when you complained, he sent out a letter to neighbors that really vilified you and caused you a substantial amount of hardship, and you want to be compensated for that as well. Mr. Zanger says the screens, really no big deal. That his dogs are territorial, and as far as the letter is concerned, he never meant the letter to cause you any embarrassment or stress. He was really trying to be neighborly. That's your defense.
Exactly.
How long have you been neighbors?
It'll be 3 years in July.
Do you have pictures of your peacocks, Mr. Zanger?
I do.
May I see them, please?
They're so pretty.
How long have you had these birds?
About 4 years, I would say.
Do you keep them contained in any way?
Not at all.
Okay. So you understand if you don't keep them contained in any way, you are responsible for any damage that they cause?
Yes.
Good. So tell me about the damage that the peacocks caused, Miss Sear.
We have a 3-story house. They've gotten up there and ate all 5 of the screens on our 3rd story.
Can I see the pictures, please? They certainly are beautiful birds.
They're 8 all the way
Thank
up
you.
to here.
Beautiful. Where did you get them?
In New York.
How many do you have?
Right now, only 2. The others were eaten by the mountain lions. And may I just add at this point, I have them as security against rattlesnakes.
Well, that's nice, but they eat her screens.
That was none of my desire.
I understand that,
or
but
my
may not be your
doing.
desire, but they're annoying. This is the damage they caused.
May I address you in that point? This happened actually 3 years ago. I came back from New York where I spent my summers on my island. And then I was told by one of the neighbors that Zach said his father had shot at the peacocks on the roof or above. I went up to the Sear residence. I introduced myself. They were new neighbors. And I met Mr. Sear, and I asked him if he did actually take aim at the peacocks. And he said, yes, he shot above them because they were on a roof. I said, okay, why don't you use a water hose? Water does really deter almost all animals.
Yeah.
And eventually Mrs. Sear came out, and she said, you know, they ate our screens, and I did not see them.
Okay, well, somebody wasn't watching the store. How much is it going to cost you to replace the screens?
The screens, I found a lower estimate for $85.79.
$85.79, cheap enough, taking care of the screens. Let's get to the problem with the dogs.
My son and his 9-year-old friend, my son was 11. They were walking.
Were you there?
I was at the house, no.
You the son?
Yeah.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Zachary Sear.
All right, Zachary. When were you walking your dogs that you had a problem with Mr. Zanger's dogs?
About April 26th.
How many dogs were you walking?
I was only walking 2.
What kinds of dogs were you walking?
German Shepherd and Lab.
Mixed. Were you walking them on leashes?
No. I was leading them with my hand.
And where were you walking them?
I was walking them down the road. We have like a halfway where it splits, and I go from there back and just check out the neighborhoods.
Okay. Tell me what happened, Zachary.
Okay, I was walking down, and I see 3 dogs coming down, a St. Bernard and 2 looks like Black Labs and Rottweiler mixed. And the St. Bernard was okay. It just stayed away, but then...
Yeah, they're big and goofy and fun.
Yeah.
The St. Bernard's very sweet.
We have one in our family.
They are very sweet.
I know.
And then those 2 Rottweiler and Lab mixes, they were all sniffing, and then one started to bite the older dog.
Whose older dog?
Our older dog. They just started to fight and everything, and I was getting freaked out, so I tried to help. And then they went to go attack the younger dog, which is our dog, but that dog just ran away. Then they started attacking my dog's legs, and they started pouncing on her chest and everything, and she had a big, like, hump or something on her side of her ribs. And then my mom came back up, and that's when we got contact with Mr. Zanger.
What did Mr. Zanger say to you, Miss Sear?
Well, I heard the boys screaming, so I got in my truck and I drove down. I met with the boys, so I put the boys and the dog in my truck, and as I came, he came down in his silver car. And I pulled up next to him, and I said, "Do you see what happened?" And he says, "Yes." He goes, "My dogs are territorial." He says, "Anything that walks over here, they think that they own the road." I said, "If your dogs are dangerous, you need to take care of your animals." My dog never left my son's side as they were pouncing him and everything else. She's not aggressive.
Okay, Mr. Zanger.
Thank you. I would like to say the dogs have absolutely no Rottweiler in them. Both of them are black, as you see. Both of them are female and spayed.
Good. That's very nice. They got off your property. Did you say to Miss Sear when she called you that my dogs are territorial?
I did say so, yes. You see, when we moved there, we saw the area is so rural, and I felt we have our dogs there also to keep the rattlesnakes away. I had to kill rattlesnakes right in front of my house, and I have a 6-year-old granddaughter, and I want her to be safe.
Mr. Zanger, my dear, you choose to live there.
Yes.
If you choose to live there, you have to have whatever protection you need for your 6-year-old granddaughter.
That's...
If you choose to have your 6-year-old granddaughter live in an area where she's playing in the front yard, but for your dogs and your peacocks, there are going to be rattlesnakes. That's your choice. You don't have the right to have dogs who've decided that their territory goes beyond the boundary of your deed. And when you do, you are responsible for the damage that they cause. So now I will see the letter.
And then he issued out a letter to all of my neighbors in May stating that when I brought him my vet bill, I knocked on the door, Mr. Zanger walked out, shut the door behind him, and I said, "The other day when your dogs attacked my dog, here's my vet bill." He took it, he looked at it, and he goes, "So what? Good." He goes, "Get off my property." I said, "You're responsible for what happens." He goes, get off my property right now. And I said, it's very sad because I'm going to call animal control and it'll probably end up with your animals being destroyed. I did say that. I never said I was going to shoot them. His 6-year-old granddaughter was never there. He sent that out to my neighbors.
Can I read the letter, please?
Certainly.
Are you employed, sir?
No, I'm retired.
You got a lot of time on your hands. And anybody receiving this letter, Miss Sear, would understand that this is the musing of somebody who has a lot of time on their hands. It's not the kind of letter that you sue over. He's not only complaining about you, he's complaining about other people. He talks about other instances that happened in 1998 with his dogs. He talks about stolen car parts, which he doesn't attribute to you. It is the musings and meanderings of somebody who has nothing else to do. You don't get compensated for this. You do, however, get compensated for the injuries to your dogs and for the screens that his peacocks damaged. Those two amounts together come to $477.63. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it was fair. The only reason I brought the letter in was to prove that, you know, he was distributing lies to all my neighbors, but I think it was very fair.
I do applaud Judge Judy for whatever she does and how she does it, and I abide by her decision.
He's got too much time on his hands.
Let bygones be bygones, and let's work together to a better neighborhood.
All parties in the matter of Feldman versus Martinez, step forward.
23-year-old college student Stephanie Feldman is suing her ex-best friend, 24-year-old Emily Martinez, for vandalizing the inside of her home with pink paint and rotting meat.
Ms. Feldman, the defendant moved into a home that you share with your father, according to your complaint, and you had an argument. After a period of time, she moved out, and it is your claim that she vandalized the house. You want her to pay for the damage that she did in the house. Ms. Martinez said she did not vandalize the house, and she is counterclaiming. She said she wants damages because during the course of this argument, you assaulted her, right?
Yes.
When did you move in and why, Ms. Martinez?
I was persuaded by Stephanie to...
Now listen. When did you move in?
In September of '04.
Who did you move in with?
With my son's father, my fiancé at the time.
And what about your son?
He was with me as well.
What, did you have a room or an apartment?
It was a room.
Okay. When did you start to pay rent?
Immediately.
How much did you pay?
I paid $400 a month.
So far, is that right?
No.
No. When did she move in?
She moved in around September, like she said, but actually the first month that she moved in with Hugo, I didn't charge her. Because I'm the godmother of her son, I said, I'll do you the favor and you don't have to pay for the first month. And she gets public assistance, and I have a letter here that I was getting $141.50 twice a month for Emily staying there.
Were you getting welfare in September of 2004?
No. When I moved in with her, I moved in with my fiancé. We separated, and that's when I was out of work and I applied for public assistance.
Were they paying the rent?
Not initially. Initially,
when did they start paying the rent?
Around November.
All right, good. So they paid the rent, $283.
I paid the difference.
Show me proof.
I don't have proof because we were best
Did she pay any
friends.
additional rent? She says you didn't give her additional money and that all she got for the room was $283 that she got from public assistance.
Yes.
Okay, keep going. What was the argument about and when did it occur?
Okay, it all started when she was no longer with Hugo. Hugo decided that he was going to move out. Her and Hugo broke up. She started dating this other guy named Fred, okay? My nephew let Hugo in the house while she was in the room with Fred. A whole thing started where Fred tried to stab Hugo, and Hugo had to jump out of the window. So I told her after that argument that, you know, this has to stop. The police came. I said, you know, I don't want this drama in my house.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let me tell you why. I'm really comfortable.
How so?
If you're quiet, I'm going to explain it to you. And I want you to understand there's only one attitude in this room.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephanie Feldman says her ex-best friend, Emily Martinez, vandalized the inside of her home. Emily is countersuing for an assault and the return of her security deposit.
Okay, when did she finally move out?
April 7th, that was the 30-day. The first argument was on March 7th. when I was speaking to my nephew about not shoveling, that's his responsibility to do. And she got into the argument. I said, Emily, please mind your business, and she wouldn't. So that's when I had asked her to leave. I said, if you're going to get into my family business...
That's when she claims you slapped her. Did you slap her?
No. She went to go hit me on the entrance door by her room, and I moved her hand out of the way out of self-defense. I'm going to see somebody hitting me and stand there.
Okay. Were you injured?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the injury.
Okay. She was in a violent rage. She is very violent. She has violent outbreaks towards her father.
You shouldn't have moved in with her if she was violent.
Well, I didn't realize that. You don't know these things till you move in with people. You never know someone till you live with them.
Show me pictures of your injuries.
I don't have any pictures.
Do you have a police report about your injuries?
No, I don't.
All right. Could you get to the vandalism of the property, please? She moved out April 7th.
Yes. I was at work because I'm a supervisor in the after school. My father and my nephew were home.
Father?
Yes.
Could you step up, please? What is your last name, sir?
Feldman.
Mr. Feldman, were you home on or about the 7th of April when Miss Martinez came in to get the remainder of her things?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
She took her stuff and she left.
And then what happened?
My grandson and I left. And when we came back, the back room was destroyed.
You have photographs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I see it, please?
And there's also photographs on the back as well. And that also has photographs of the meat that was planted in my apartment.
What is this pink stuff that was spilled all over the place?
That was the pink paint that she used. As you could see, it's the same color of the room. That pink paint was in Emily's possession, was never in my possession.
You also said that somebody put stuffed food around the house.
Yes. That day, when I walked in, I noticed a foul odor in my bedroom. And I couldn't figure out what it was, but I had people over, so I wasn't going to start searching all over. And the next day, I found chopped meat in my heater system, fish under my bed. That's what you see in the pictures. Chopped meat and pig's legs all over the house, behind my fridge, behind my bed wall. And
anybody else have access to the house?
Only the people that live with me, which is my dad, my nephew, and Millie, who is my godmother.
Go ahead.
Okay. She has an open house. She has a party house.
First, let's go with the pink paint.
Okay. I mean, that was planted after I left. This is all a retaliation because I called the police on her because she attacked me. And she told me I had to have my stuff out by a certain day. I removed it.
Wait a second. Wait. She didn't attack you. You said she slapped you.
She was attacking me.
You said she slapped you, is what you said.
That's all she got in because I was...
Listen to me. You still vandalized the house.
That's
allegedly.
You
or what's
allegedly.
the boyfriend's name?
Fred.
Fred. You or Fred.
Allegedly.
No, I have to make a decision whether that happened.
How is the evidence? Where's the evidence that I did that? She has an open house. Her door's never locked. There's guys coming in and out of her apartment all hours of the night.
Miss Martinez, let me tell you why. I'm really comfortable, really comfortable finding that you vandalized the house.
How so?
If you're quiet, I'm going to explain it to you. And I want you to understand there's only one attitude in this room.
I'm not trying to have an attitude.
Good.
I just don't like being accused.
So I'm going to explain it to you because how long have you lived in this house?
That's been in my family for 50 years. I've lived there all my life.
Shh. Listen to me. Listen to me. How many times have you found chopped meat in the heater system?
Not at all.
Never?
No.
Mr. Feldman, how many times have you found chopped meat in the heating system in the last 50 years?
Never.
How many times have you found paint spilled on the floor?
Never.
In 50 years?
Never.
So the only time...
Listen
to me. I'm speaking now. You asked me for a reason. I'm giving you the reason. I'm being nice to you. The world revolves around common sense.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't make sense, it's not true. If it makes sense, then more often than not, it's true. Now, she's had, according to you, an open house. Lots of people come in and out of the house. Mr. Feldman has lived there for 50 years. I'm sure he's had lots of people in and out of the house. It is too coincidental, and it belies credulity, which means it just doesn't make sense, that in the last 50 years, the only time that they've had trouble with vandalism in their house to this extent, in a room where you and Fred and Hugo had been living, and the only time she had meat found in the heating system is the day you moved out.
This is a case of single white female. She wants to be me. The problem was
Listen
that
to me,
I had
sweetheart.
a boyfriend, and she
Listen-
wanted me to be hanging out with
listen
her
to
every
me.
day. I had to be
She
by her
doesn't
side
wanna
every
be
day.
you. Listen to me.
She has a
Listen
serious
to me.
psychological problem, and this is a retaliation against me.
Then you should have a different place to live.
I do.
In any event, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500, which is the cost of your cleanup, which is what you say. You should not have to clean up. I'm speaking. You won, so be quiet. You have a counterclaim for assault. I find that you weren't assaulted, so it's dismissed. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back.
Are suing the father of their daughter's former friend, Mark Cooley, for the cost of a Hawaiian vacation. The Weavers say Mark has yet to pay for his daughter's share.
Yeah, this is case number 182 on the calendar in the matter of Weaver versus Cooley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young ladies, have seats, please.
Oh, my goodness. Do you really want to be here?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, this is your complaint. Your daughter and the defendant's daughter are friends, and you were taking a trip to Hawaii. According to your complaint, you invited Mr. Cooley's daughter to accompany your family on the trip. And the arrangement was that if she were going to go with you, her mother and father, who are divorced, were going to split the cost of her basic trip.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And it is your claim that Mr. Cooley, who was her father, did not pay for his half of her trip.
Yes.
Mr. Cooley said that he never had a contract with you, right?
That's correct.
That he was sort of presented with a fait accompli, that he fell on some hard financial times, otherwise he certainly would have wanted his daughter to have this experience, which she, by the way, did have. She did go with you. His defense is that he never had a contract with you. When were you planning this trip?
February of 2004 is when we first contacted them about planning the trip.
When you say them, who did you contact?
I contacted Brittany's mother because Brittany lives with her mom, and we discussed the option of her being able to go with us.
And what was the arrangement that you made with her mother?
I told her mother that we'd be happy for Brittany to accompany us because she was our daughter's best friend, and that if she would pay for just the airline flight and then the expenses of the activities such as the snorkeling and et cetera that we did there,
Okay.
and that we would be glad to pay for all of her food and then any of the other miscellaneous expenses. And then her mother said that she would have to contact Brittany's father to see if he'd pay for half and let us know. Then she called us and said that she'd spoke with her ex-husband, and he agreed.
Did you speak with him?
We spoke with him 30 days before the trip. He came over to
No.
our house. Not that day, not that time.
When did you go on the trip?
December.
So practically a year later.
Correct.
And it wasn't until November that you say that you contacted Mr. Cooley. Is that right?
Yes, because we were unable to get a hold of him.
Had you purchased the tickets already?
Yes, ma'am.
So you purchased the non-refundable tickets based upon the conversation you had with Brittany's mother.
Correct.
Now, you understand that up until this time you had no contract with Mr. Cooley. Do you understand that?
No, ma'am.
Well, I'm going to try to explain it to you.
Okay.
What you did was you had, at best, a contract with Brittany's mother to pay for half the cost of the trip. Brittany's mother cannot obligate Brittany's father to pay for the other half. She can't say he's going to pay for the other half and in any way obligate him. Do you have a sibling?
Yes, ma'am.
Brother or sister?
I have two sisters and a brother.
Okay, let's take the brother. He's easy. What's his name?
Michael.
All right, let's say Michael wanted to have his family room redone. So he went to a contractor, and the contractor said it's going to cost $10,000 to redo your family room. And Michael said, that's fine. I'm going to pay for half, and my sister promised me that she would pay for the other half as a birthday present. So you go ahead and you do this renovation for $10,000. Michael gives him $5,000, and he says, go get the other $5,000 from my sister. What's your first name?
Susan.
Susan. Goes to Susan. Susan says, listen, I told him if I could, one day I would like to make a present of $5,000, but I never agreed to pay you $5,000. I didn't have a contract with you. You want your money, go to Michael. Now do you understand?
I understand that, ma'am, yes.
He may have agreed to something, but up until November, I just want you to understand you had no contract with him.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank
Got
you.
it?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what happened in November.
Well, my husband spoke with him. I don't know if you want to talk to him as far as that.
I sure do. Okay. He's the only one I can speak to if he spoke to him.
I talked to Mr. Cooley about the expenses that we had occurred already, purchasing the non-refundable tickets, and that she would need $300 to $400 to pay for the incidental expenses that she would occur as far as the snorkeling, the luau, and that kind of stuff that she would need over there. And he agreed at that time that...
What did he say? Not he agreed. What did he say?
He said the trip sounded good, that it was a one-in-a-lifetime trip for her, that it was something that they had never, ever planned for her to do, and that he would pay his half.
He said he would pay his half?
His half.
And are those the words he used?
To the best of my recollection, yes, Your Honor.
Did he give you any money?
No, ma'am.
So when was he supposed to pay you?
He indicated that he had had some problems health-wise, and at the time he was unable to give us any money. And we told him when he got back on his feet, whenever he could pay us monthly payments or whatever have you. But basically, he had us over a barrel. We had to take Brittany. We weren't going to disappoint her and not take her.
Now it's your turn.
Well, first of all, I didn't go to their house at all. My conversation with Mr. Weaver was over the phone, and that was only because in August I went on disability, and I was informing him that I was not going to be able to pay, and he had said, quote unquote, well, give me what you can, and if you can't give me anything, then that's fine, your daughter's going to go anyway. So I mentioned to my daughter that I wasn't going to be able to pay for her trip, and she was going to have to ask her mother to pay for it in its entirety.
Okay. Something that you said to me, Mr. Cooley, however, has an interesting ring to it. You said that you called the Weavers because your financial circumstances changed. You wanted to let them know that you could no longer pay your half. Is that right?
That's true.
Well, that suggests to me, sir, that you had originally told your ex-wife that you would pay for half when she originally called you in February of 2004. Are you following what I'm saying
Yes,
to you? Am I correct, Mr. Cooley, that you originally told your ex-wife that you would pay for half of the expenses?
That is correct. But in February of 2004, I was under the impression that I was only going to help her out on her airfare.
Fine. Let's say that's what you were told, that you were going to pay for half the airfare. Not help her out, half, because the words that you used to me were half, right?
Right.
Now, the airfare was how much?
The exact price was $729.43.
So is what you're telling me now, Mr. Cooley, that what your understanding was that you were going to pay for half the airfare, and that's what you agreed to with your former wife? Don't think of what I'm going to say after that, Mr. Cooley. Believe me, you're never going to be able to leapfrog over my mind.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're dealing with children. She could just as easily go to her father and say, listen, I want to go on this trip. It's $200 to go. It turns out that it's $2,000. What am I going to do, put her in jail?
And later today...
You claimed that he made over $2,000 in sex calls, probably many of whom are guys talking and making out that they're women.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan and Lloyd Weaver say the father of their daughter's former best friend, Mark Cooley, owes for a Hawaiian vacation.
Now, is that what you agreed to with your former wife, to pay for half the airfare?
Right. Well, to be honest with you, my correspondence with my wife, because we don't speak, has been through my daughter.
Is that what you promised your daughter?
Correct.
And your daughter, I assume, conveyed that to her mother?
Yeah.
Brittany, what did you tell your mother?
Well, I told my mom that I was going on the trip and how much it was.
How much did you tell her it was?
I told her that, as far as what I knew, it was $350 that she was supposed to pay.
And you told your father the same thing?
That he was supposed to pay $350 also.
And he agreed to that?
Yes.
Good. Now you can sit down. Okay, Mr. Cooley, let us assume everything that you say is correct, that you were going to pay for half the airfare. Why didn't you pay him?
Well, in August, I went on disability, and so my whole financial situation changed.
You already said that to me. But at this point, they had non-refundable tickets, and one way or another, your daughter was going to go. Did you ever think, sir, of saying, I have to send the Weavers $50 a month because I agreed to do that? They took my daughter on a trip. I had a contract with them to pay him half, according to you, not according to them, but according to you, half the airfare for your daughter.
When I gave them the $150, there was somewhat of an agreement that I could pay monthly.
When did you give them $150?
I gave them $150 upon them coming back from their trip.
Give me the date. You have the date?
It was January 6th, Your Honor.
And you cashed that check?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So that's January, February, March, April, May, June, July, 6 months later. And you haven't given them any money since?
Well, in April, the tides had turned because they kind of sent me a threatening letter, or at least I thought it was threatening, informing me that we don't want any ill feelings toward you or your wife. This could affect our daughter and your daughter's friendship.
They're absolutely right. It's a very good reason for you to send a check and say, I'm sorry, I told you that finances were really tight. I realize that this is my obligation. Here's $50. Here's $30. Here is something to demonstrate that I recognize that this is my obligation. You have a letter like that?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Well, that's the wrong thing. You did the wrong thing, sir. Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, the only contract that I can ascribe to Mr. Cooley is for half of the airfare. And I say that because that's what his daughter says that she told her mother, and she told him. So, unfortunately, what?
We sent Mr. Cooley 3 letters advising him that he still owed us money. He sent us a letter back. And in that letter, he said that it's not verbatim.
Show me the letter.
You got it, ma'am?
If what you're saying to me is he acknowledges anything more than
Yes,
the
Your Honor,
airfare.
The letter's several pages long, Your Honor. The first page shows that he agreed to pay half.
Well, let
but
me
it just
see.
says to pay half of Brittany's expenses.
the letter.
The whole letter.
Uh-huh.
And, Your Honor, if I may just say one more thing. Brittany's mom paid us the $550.
I don't care
that
what
she
she
owed
did.
us, so she knew that half of it was $550,
Listen
if I
to
just
me.
might say that.
You cannot ascribe anything to him that Brittany's mother knew.
Okay, I won't say anything else about
Nothing.
that.
If you want to have a contract with somebody, you have to talk to them face to face, or you have to speak to them personally over the phone, and then memorialize it in a written document that is signed. And then it's a contract that you have between 2 people. If you're dealing with children, she can just as easily go to her father and say, listen, I want to be able to go on this trip. It's $200 to go. Will you pay for $200? And he says, sure, I'll pay for $200. And it turns out that it's $2,000. You've already booked the ticket, so you're out $2,000. What am I going to do, put her in jail? Of course not. That's why you don't deal with children when you're making a contract with.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Cooley, listen to me. This is all wrong, sir. You say to them, I agreed to pay 1/2 of my daughter's expenses. And if I believe what you say it was based on me being employed. Well, that's not true. That's not true, sir. Your agreeing to pay for half of her airfare was not based upon your being employed, because you didn't have that conversation with your daughter. When you said to your daughter, I'll pay for half of your airfare, you didn't say to her, on condition that I'm still working, right?
Right.
Okay. I had no control over my going on disability, which cut my salary in 1/3. So what? What's that their problem? That's your problem, not theirs. What's the nature of your disability?
Stress.
And you came here? I can see from this rambling letter that you are stressed, Mr. Cooley, so I won't proceed any further. You owe these people an additional $214, and that's giving you every possible benefit of the doubt, sir, that the only thing you agreed to was to pay for 1/2 of her airfare. I mean, I think that if you wanted to be a good guy, you would say to them, listen, I don't want you to be out any money, and I don't want our daughters who were good friends to be estranged, so I'm going to make it my business to see to it that you get the extra $50 a month until it's all paid off. But from a legal perspective, I can't do that. I can, however, find that you agreed to pay for half the airfare. You have already given them $150, leaving a balance of $214. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't know if it was a once-in-a-lifetime trip. It's not like she's not going to be able to go anywhere else.
Brittany's dad has a problem with this now, and so she's not really able to come over to our house.
We don't really hang out that much anymore.
I think she'd be over a lot more this summer if this wasn't going on.
We'll still be friends.
I hope that would happen.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Fleischer versus McWhorter. Step forward, please.
Harriet Fleischer is suing her former tenant, Robert McWhorter, for rent and for running up her phone bill with sex calls.
Miss Fleischer, Do you live in a private house or an apartment?
Private house.
How long have you lived there?
18.5 years.
Who do you live with?
Currently, I have one tenant.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Fleischer?
I'm a computer consultant.
How long have you been doing that kind of work?
Far too long. 9.5, 10 years.
This is your complaint. You rented a room to Mr. McWater, who was a friend of yours and going through some difficult times. You said that you would allow him to come and stay in your home, $100 a week, and you claim he left owing you some rent.
That's
correct.
correct.
Which is really not what you're complaining about, because he acknowledges that he owes a couple of $100s in rent. You claim that he made over $2,000 in 1-900 sex calls on your phone.
That's correct.
Mr. McWater said, I didn't do that. When were you living with Miss Fleischer and Mr. McWater?
Approximately right before Thanksgiving till the 23rd of December.
So maybe November the 20th?
Yeah, it was a Saturday when I moved in.
To December what?
23rd.
You have a copy of your phone bill?
I do. I have a
I'd like to take a look at it, please.
I had spoke to Mrs. Fleischer when I returned from my trip, and she verbally told me over the phone, I took her word for it, I never physically saw the bills myself, that it was between $900 and $1,000.
Look at me. What difference does it make how it was 900 and 1,000? I read your answer, Mr. McWater. Your answer says, I didn't make those calls and I don't know who did. So is now what you're telling me, sir, that you did make these calls, you just didn't know the extent of the bill. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct.
All right. Well, that's a little different from your answer. I know that sometimes I can be a little intimidating. That's a very good thing. So I don't have to go through these bills and humiliate you to see how long you stood on the line with these people, probably many of whom are guys talking and making out that they're women. Go find a nice girl, Mr. McWater. Get your own phone.
May I interject here, Your Honor?
Oh, if you have to.
Robert told me that he had his own phone when we made arrangements for his moving in.
Miss Fleischer, doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
His story now, after he took a look at this kind face of mine, was, I acknowledge I made the phone calls, that I was stupid, right?
Varies.
I was unthinking, right? Right? I'm dying to pay you and get out of here because I'm humiliated. And don't humiliate me anymore.
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. They could all be so easy.
There are guys pretending to be women?
Yeah, I saw that in a movie once. You know, there were guys that just raise their voice and they sit there and they make other people feel foolish. It was in some Jack Lemmon movie or something. Remember Jack Lemmon?
Remember Jack Lemmon?
Most people don't remember Jack Lemmon. I remember Jack Lemmon.
May I say something, Your Honor?
What?
When I explained to Mrs. Fleischer that I'm an alcoholic and I did have gone through several blackout stages, that's why. No, I'm putting it all on the table.
Listen, I gotcha. I understand.
And this is part of my recovery, is to make amends for whatever damages I have.
So why did you have to come here? Why couldn't you tell her that outside?
I attempted to. I didn't know that I was even actually have been taken to court until.
Well, where did you think you were going? To Never Never Land today?
No.
How much do you owe for rent?
I believe it would be between $100 and $200.
He left owing $200 in rent.
Okay.
On a week-to-week, there's a 1 week, as I understand it, a 1 week...
There's a 1 week nothing. Don't go crazy.
Okay.
He owes you $2,652.
Okay.
Should have taken care of this before you came to court, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good.
Your
Thank
Honor?
you very much. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
is suing her ex-roommate, 19-year-old Holly Ward, for breaking a lease, stealing money, and for damaging the bumper of her car.
All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. That's case number 207 on the calendar, the matter of Peters versus Ward.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Peters, you and Miss Ward were roommates. It is your claim that after a failed road trip that didn't work out as well as you expected, Miss Ward decided to stay home.
Yes.
And she left you in the lurch with the lease. You want her to pay the rent. In addition, you say that she stole some money from you and that she at some point damaged your car. You want her to pay for that.
Yes.
Miss Ward says she was pregnant, decided to stay home with her parents, I assume, that she denies taking any of your money, and she says that the damage to the car just didn't happen. She also says that your boyfriend moved in with you into the apartment and he wasn't paying his fair share of the rent. So, is this your boyfriend?
Yes.
How many people signed the lease to the apartment?
2, me and Holly.
Did Holly have a boyfriend living with her?
No.
But your boyfriend was living with you?
He wasn't living there. He was.
Yeah, he is.
yes,
he lives
he
there.
was.
He lives there. Don't tell me he wasn't living there. He lives there. Don't speak unless I speak to you. You want me to get the address that you listed, sir, when you filled out the forms for this program?
Yes.
Do you want me to get the forms that you filled out with the
Yes.
address?
I put 718.
And who lives there?
My mother.
What's your mother's phone number?
She doesn't have a phone.
Oh, everybody has a phone,
But
sir.
there's a number you could reach her at, but she don't have a phone herself.
You get what I'm saying to you, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. When did you sign this lease with the defendant?
On December 1st, 2006.
And when did you take this road trip?
In the beginning of April, like April
15th.
Where's the father of this baby that you're having?
In Ohio.
And where are you living now?
Alabama.
Who went on the road trip?
The 3 of us.
Whose car did you use?
Amanda's.
You got stopped and you were all arrested for drug possession, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What happened with your case?
I got 2 years probation.
What about you?
I just got charged as a misdemeanor and got fined. She got charged with all that because she was pregnant.
I got charged
doing
with a
drugs while
misdemeanor
she
and got
was
a
pregnant.
We all 3 got, well, me and Amanda got charged with possession too.
And what about you?
I did 31 days because wouldn't nobody sign for me.
No, he got 30 days because he had prior possessions.
No, I got 30 days. Shh. That is untrue, Your Honor.
Now, what is the rent?
It's $500 a month.
Stand up. Your last name?
Lucky, L-E-C-K-E-Y.
I'm not so sure.
I heard that.
Who do you work for?
I work for Ford.
What do you do for them?
I clean cubicle offices.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Peters?
I'm a waitress.
Fine. Mr. Lucky,
Yes.
you may have to kick in for some rent, sir. Do you understand?
I wasn't standing there at the time.
Well, now
Yes, he was.
now just a second. Just a second. Now you can stay there.
Well, she shouldn't have signed
Lucky,
my lease.
Mr. Lucky, when did you arrive from Ohio?
We arrived Tuesday.
You arrived Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Shh.
Yes.
And where are you staying?
I'm staying at the Sheraton Hotel.
And where are you staying, Miss Peters?
At the Sheraton Hotel.
In the same room?
Yes.
And when you go back to Ohio, you're going to go back and stay with your mother. Is that what you're telling me?
And yes,
I'm
after
giving you
this case
permission. You
matter.
could stay with Miss Peters.
I didn't
And now
want to
you're
stay
going to
with
pay.
her because
And now
of
you're
this
going to
issue.
pay the rent. Sit down. Who brought the marijuana into the car?
All 3 of us did.
That wasn't mine.
No.
All
Holly
3 of
did.
us did. All 3
Holly
of us
did.
did. We all 3 went to jail for the possession.
It's not what I asked you. I said, who brought it into the car?
Holly.
Holly.
Lucky. I didn't. Lucky sells marijuana.
Oh, okay.
That's
No,
his
no,
job
that's
prior
not
to 2
true.
months before. He didn't have this job now.
That's a lie. She
Now,
made that up.
shh. Now, when is your baby due?
I already had him.
You already
June
had your baby.
29th, yes.
And who's taking care of your baby now?
My mother.
Baby healthy?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't stupid enough to smoke marijuana while you were pregnant,
Actually, I
were
was.
you? Yeah.
That's how she got 2 years.
That's
Was drinking and a whole bunch of other stuff she
I
did
didn't
while she
drink
was
with my
pregnant.
baby. My baby was perfectly
Yes, you
healthy,
did.
born 4 weeks early, didn't need anything. 6 pounds, 8 ounces.
great. Okay. So now, Ms. Peters,
Yes.
Now you have your boyfriend living with you. How big is this apartment, by the way?
It's a 2-bedroom apartment.
Well, Your Honor, at first, when I first moved in with the Mandos in March of 2005, Lucky moved in June of 2005. We were all living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Then his cousin moved in, Lewis, with his baby mama, Shataya. We all 5 lived there. I still paid half the rent. They didn't pay nothing.
No.
Just a second. No. How long?
And his cousin got a job at our job.
Just a second. How long did his cousin and his
They
baby
lived there.
mama live there?
They lived there from...
What?
From October till December when we got our 2-bedroom and they got their 1-bedroom apartment.
What's your cousin's name?
My cousin's name is Lewis, and he was not living there.
Yes, he was, Your Honor.
Listen,
Okay,
I am
he'll
very,
move
very
down.
unhappy about this whole situation. All I can tell you, Ms. Peters, is now you can have your boyfriend full-time. Your boyfriend of 6 years full-time. He's going to live with you and he's going to pay the rent. You get nothing from her. Next. What? Now, let's talk about this stolen money. You say that she stole money from you.
Yes.
You
No,
know
from
this.
her and her
Shh,
boyfriend.
I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
I'm not happy with you either. Anyone who smokes dope while they're pregnant is an idiot.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When the wallet came up missing, she had to have been there. Otherwise, how could she get it? Not from Ohio to Alabama.
No,
she has
it
that
was
very
months
long
ago.
arms.
And later today,
Where do you think it's all his responsibility?
Because he was told to put it back, and he didn't.
Who told him to put it back?
All of them.
They did not tell him to put it back. What are you, nuts?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amanda Peters claims ex-roommate Holly Ward owes for breaking an apartment lease, stealing money from her wallet, and for damaging her car.
Now, tell me about this alleged money.
All right, I gave my boyfriend $300 to put up for me. I was going to put my car in the shop and have some work done to it. Well, I picked him up one night. He was going to come spend the night with me. The wallet came up missing that night while he was at the house. Yeah, I went to drop him off the next morning, and the wallet wasn't there.
And
he said it was Holly all along. I mean, I really didn't think it was at first, but I found the wallet in her room when I was cleaning it out after she left.
Where's the wallet?
It's right here.
Let me see it.
Can I?
Shh.
Okay.
When, for the first time, did you tell Holly about the missing wallet?
I didn't tell her.
You didn't tell her?
No, she was in Alabama when I found it.
You didn't call her?
No.
No, I'm not saying when you found it. Listen to me. Miss Peters, when the wallet came up missing, she had to have been there. Otherwise, how could she get it? Not from Ohio to Alabama.
No,
she has
it
that
was
very
months
long
ago.
arms. Now, so when did you first discuss with her the fact that this wallet was missing?
Oh, it was around the time when we moved into our 2-bedroom apartment. So
And
around
how long did you live in the 2-bedroom apartment?
I'm still there now. So from December until now.
How long did she live there?
Until April 15th.
So the wallet came up missing in December?
Yes.
And you found it when?
When I came back May 9th or 8th, I mean.
Yeah, do me a favor. Return that to her. Tell me about the damaged car.
She damaged my car, parallel parking it.
When?
In November, the first week of November.
November of 06?
Yes, ma'am.
Show me the bill where you had it fixed.
I haven't gotten it fixed yet. I haven't had the money. But I have an estimate from where we both took it in. She came with me when I got the estimate.
Oh, well, tell me how it happened.
Oh, she parallel.
I didn't ask
He
you.
was in the car. I wasn't in the car. She asked to borrow my car one day, and she brought it back with these scratches on the front bumper.
Let
he
me
was
see
in
the
the car.
pictures of the front bumper. How did you scratch the bumper?
I didn't scratch the front of her car.
Who did?
Lucky. He was on his way to school in November, and at a red light, he hit the back of another car.
I have a picture of the truck that she hit also with the dent in the bumper
Just a
where
second.
she hit
She says it was Lucky.
That's
It
a lie,
wasn't.
Your Honor.
She went with me when I got the statement.
I did not go with her. I was at work when she got that statement
You're
done with
lying.
Lucky.
She had borrowed Amanda's car, and I needed to go home that following morning.
He was living with us. Why would I take him home?
don't want you to interrupt. If you interrupt again, it's not going to be good for you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So on the way taking me home to my mother's house, she was trying to parallel park in front of another car, and she hit the back.
On the way,
back
she was
end of-
trying to parallel park?
No, when we got to my mother's house.
Why was she going to parallel park if she was just dropping you off?
Because she was parking to drop me off.
Why was she parking to drop you off? Why didn't you just come?
She was the driver.
I don't believe it. Goodbye. You all deserve each other. That's it. Case is dismissed. Take him outside, Bert.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She knows she owes me money. She's a liar.
She wanted money because obviously her boyfriend who has been living with us hasn't been paying bills, and he's probably not doing it now.
She stole some money from me. I didn't find out about it until I came home. She wrecked my car, never paid for it.
All three of us smoked marijuana. He had drugs in our apartment all the time. He was selling them. I helped him sell them.
She put it in the glove compartment, and they pulled us over. And when they found the marijuana in the glove compartment, they charged everybody with it.
Don't smoke while you're pregnant.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cotton versus Strittmatter, step forward, please.
Julie and David Cotton are suing family friend, 18-year-old Dylan Strittmatter, for crashing a golf cart during their wedding reception. Dylan claims he is not guilty.
Who was getting married?
Julie and I.
According to your complaint, Miss Cotton, your family lives on the river.
Correct.
Is that where the wedding was?
Yes.
The defendant is the son of an old family friend, and because there was so much land and the venue was spread out, you rented 2 golf carts to sort of help people get from one place to another, especially people who might have been a little older. Those golf carts were just rented for the event. It is your claim that the defendant, without permission, drove one of those golf carts and damaged it. You're being charged by the rental company for the damage to the golf cart, and you want him to pay for it.
Correct.
Who saw Mr. Strittmatter riding the golf cart?
Tristan Hall.
How old are you, Mr. Hall?
18.
What do you know about Mr. Strittmatter and the golf cart?
Well, I was the guy in charge of taking people to and from the parking to the wedding, and we were at the reception.
At the golf cart, with the golf cart.
Right. And after the wedding, we went to the reception, and we had the 2 golf carts parked over there. And we were all sitting around eating, and I saw them take off in the golf cart, and we just went out. I went out there after them to see what.
Saw who taking off?
Dylan and Greg.
That's Dylan would be you?
Yes.
And who's Greg?
I'm Greg.
Perfect, I love it. No, I didn't ask you to go over there yet.
Well,
I didn't ask you to go over there yet.
Okay. That is a lot.
I didn't go over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Oh, Miss Cotton, you're going to talk to me. You, me. Maybe you're used to getting the last word. I'm trying to tell you, it's your responsibility to ensure no underage drinking at your venue.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julie and David Cotton claim family friend Dylan Strittmatter owes for crashing a golf cart during their wedding reception.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I went out there, and we were just riding. We were riding around for a little while.
Who was riding around?
Me, Dylan, and Greg.
How did you get on the golf cart?
Because I went out there. When I saw him riding around, I walked out there.
So you walked outside, and the 3 of you got on the golf cart.
Right. Well, they were on it first. I went out there after they were already on it. I went out there.
Who drove?
They were driving. We all took turns driving.
Who drove first?
Tristan drove first, but there's also a 4th person in the party. Their son Chase was also in the golf cart, and he also drove it with us.
Is that right?
Chase was in the golf cart, yes.
So who drove first?
I guess I drove first.
Who drove second?
Chase drove second.
Who drove third?
I drove third.
All right, what happened next?
Okay, so we're driving around, and we were just driving around with the golf cart, and after a little while, I said, okay, we should probably bring this back. So we were on our way back down this road, and that's whenever he thought he could make it through these 2 rocks, if that's what you want to call them. They were more like boulders, and then he just ran into one of them.
Now, did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around in that golf cart at that time?
In the back of my mind, I did.
And did you know you weren't supposed to be Hey, did you look at me? Did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around in the golf cart at that time?
Yes, I knew that.
Did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around at that time? And I assume your son knew that he wasn't supposed to be driving around that time.
That's correct.
So what are you suing him for?
Because he had been drinking at the wedding at my mom's, and I had told him to put it down, and I saw them take off, but mind you, I'm in the middle of my reception, and I heard them, and so did my friends, hear them screaming, come on, let's go get on the golf cart. It was just those 2, and they were drunk at our wedding. They did take it. The owner of the...
Your son was there. How old is he?
13.
What'd you do to him?
Actually, both of my sons had told them, and so had Tristan, to stop. and he
They
was
were
driving
driving around in the golf cart.
Well, a little more than driving. He was driving erratically.
Just a second. Where do you think it's all his responsibility?
Because he was told to put it back, and he didn't.
Who told him to put it back?
All of them.
They did not. They were driving around with it. They did not tell him to put it back. What are you, nuts? Listen, Miss Cotton.
Yes.
If you're telling me that you saw them get in the golf cart and drive around with it, and you didn't leave your reception to go and stop them from driving around with it.
My oldest son actually did.
He's not here. You, not your son. Your 13-year-old was in the golf cart.
Right, but my oldest son also took the keys from them.
Did you see that?
No, but they all told me, and the owner
I can't
of the
tell
golf
you anything,
cart.
Miss Cotton. You have a responsibility. A golf cart is an attractive nuisance. That's what it is for young people. That's why your 13-year-old got in the golf cart.
Well, I mean, he admitted to wrecking it and told us he was sorry.
They were all involved in it. If anything, he's responsible for a quarter of it, not for the whole thing. Your son is responsible. Therefore, you're responsible for a quarter.
My son is 13.
He's responsible for a quarter. He's responsible for a quarter. He's not responsible for the whole damage to the golf cart. They shouldn't have been in the golf cart to begin with. And if you saw them and you're the grown-up, you should have seen to it that they weren't in the golf cart.
Can I say something?
Listen, if you knew he was drinking, what's the drinking age where you are anyway?
21.
If he got hurt and he had been drinking at your wedding, he would have owned that house on the river.
I can't control him. He's not my child.
Oh, yes, you can. You can put him out of your house.
He wasn't at our house. It was an open field. We weren't there. He went off in a different area.
Miss Cotton, it's your responsibility when you have an event to ensure that there is no underage drinking. And based upon what you tell me, you saw him drinking and drunk at your wedding. You then saw him get into a golf cart and drive away. And it was your reception, and you couldn't do anything about it because you didn't want to leave the reception. That's what you told me.
I didn't see him get in. I heard them say they were going to do it and take off, and people were
Ms. Cotton, I'm getting less and less sympathy for you. I mean, that doesn't give him any right to do that. And he's going to pay for 1/4 of the damage. But I have less and less sympathy for you. You planned a wedding, and you had a bunch of kids, including these two people, not only the defendant, who were drinking at your wedding. And that's your responsibility. You are responsible for the venue. That's what the law says. And if they had gotten into a car instead of a golf cart, and instead of going between a boulder and scratching your golf cart, which is what he did, he got into his car and he killed somebody, you know who they come after? You. That's what the law says.
I didn't serve him the alcohol, and he stole
you
it.
You did serve him alcohol.
I did.
Duh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now.
Oh, actually, we didn't serve him the alcohol.
You did serve him alcohol.
Well, I mean, it's in a bar area. Anybody can walk to the bar and get it.
He didn't get it from the bar. He did go and take it.
Did you get it from the bar?
Actually, there was a fountain outside the wedding reception that had wine, and there was a cup there and cups, and you could just go in and pour yourself some.
And did you not look at me and I told you to put it down?
Just a second. Is
yes,
that what you're telling me? Then what you do is when you have children and you have open alcohol, you ensure that the children who are there don't drink the alcohol.
Well,
Miss Cotton, you're going to talk to me. You, me. Maybe you're used to getting the last word. I'm trying to tell you that based upon 16 years of education and 30 years in the judicial system, it's your responsibility to ensure no underage drinking at your venue. Do you understand?
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost to fix this golf cart?
$1,119.35.
Your responsibility is $279, young man. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $279, only because you have to accept a certain amount of responsibility. Think that's reasonable?
Sure.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Jill Anderson is suing her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, homemaker Bobby Joe Morris, for damage to her car and an assault. Bobby Joe is countersuing for harassment.
Now, this is case number 245 on the calendar in the matter of Anderson versus Morris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
This is your current boyfriend?
No.
Who is this?
Ex-husband.
Ex-husband?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the boyfriend?
He's not here.
Why not?
He couldn't make it.
Any particular reason?
No.
Was he a witness to this event?
To the event, no.
Good. Miss Anderson, from what I read in your complaint, the only thing that you and Miss Morris have in common, the exception of mutual dislike for each other, is a boyfriend. Used to be yours, then it was hers, but you continue to see him. I'm going to figure this out as we go along. In any event, your claim is that you were sitting with this boyfriend, or semi-boyfriend of yours, and the defendant came up in her car or truck or whatever kind of vehicle she was driving and proceeded to not only assault the vehicle that you were in, but you. Is that right?
Yes.
And Miss Morris says that is absolutely not true. Never did it. When did this alleged assault take place?
On June 5th.
Of this
of
year?
2003, yes. About 10:30 at night.
Where were you?
I was at my friend's house in the car in his driveway.
Which friend?
The
boy?
Yes.
Does the boy have a first name?
Yes, Richard.
Had you dated Richard?
Yes.
For how long?
8, 9 years. Sorry.
But even though you had dated him 8 or 9 years, Richard was not monogamous.
Right.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. Because he also had Miss Morris. Was he living with you at any point in the last 2 years, Miss Morris?
In the last 2 years, no. In 2000, he lived with me.
And did you continue to see him through 2003?
Yes, until June 5th.
In a boyfriend-girlfriend
Absolutely.
relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your ex-husband was your ex-husband as of when?
As of 1997, I believe.
He doesn't live with you?
Yes, he does live with me. He lived with Richard and I together in the same household, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Tim and I share 2 children, and even though we can't fix our differences, he has an obligation to my children as well as I do, and we share that obligation.
So he lives with you since 1997, and you were living with Richard in 2000.
Richard lived with me, yes.
And your children. And the children understand this whole relationship. How old are your children?
Currently, they are 13 and 11.
And they understand that their daddy lives home but doesn't stay in the same room as their mommy. Their mommy stays in a room with Richard.
Right.
Shh. It's a different world we live in. It's not Ozzie and Harriet. You know who Ozzie and Harriet are?
Of course I know who Ozzie and Harriet.
Thank you. Okay. So you were in the car on the 5th of June, 2003, 10:30 at night, talking to your friend Richard.
Yes.
Who you knew, according to your complaint, was still involved with Miss Morris.
Yes.
But he was still a friend of yours.
Yes.
Now, when you say friend, did you have an intimate relationship with him, or was it just a friendly relationship?
Intimate relationship.
So it didn't bother you that he still had a relationship with Miss Morris?
No.
I would like to see this, Richard.
That would probably be why he's not before you today.
Right. I mean, I'd just like to get a look at him.
I have pictures of him if you'd like.
Oh, I'd love to see a picture.
Actually,
do you have one with you?
Actually, they're outside. They're outside the courtroom. I don't have
You'll
them
get
with
it to Bird later.
Most
so
certainly.
just so that I could take a look at it so I can see it. I'm dying to take a look at it.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me what happened when you were sitting and talking to Richard on the 5th of June at 10:30 at night.
Okay. First of all, Bobby Jo has been very jealous of me all along.
That's Bobby Jo?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
She's been jealous of you. Listen, I don't want to get into
anyway, I was in my vehicle. I was. We had just pulled into the driveway, so I was
Who
still
was driving?
Me.
And you were pulling into whose driveway?
Richard's.
Okay.
Had you gone out for the evening?
Yes, we were just gotten back, and I was dropping
From where?
them off. From Jackson Indio Casino.
Okay.
Okay. Can I? Okay. All right.
You'll have a turn.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we were up there. We came home. I dropped him off, and we were sitting in the car talking. You know, he hadn't gotten out of the car just yet, and all of a sudden, I seen some lights coming from my rearview mirror, and it was the defendant's and in her truck, and so she pulled up alongside the passenger side, and she got out of her truck, and the windows were down in our car because it was warm outside, and she stood outside the passenger door, and she was yelling at him and throwing out comments, and she told me she was going to burn my house down and just upset. And no sooner was she saying these things did she lunge into the car, and she grabbed my hair.
How could she do that? She was on the passenger side.
And she had her seatbelt
She
on.
went through the passenger window, across the passenger, and
lunged towards you.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay. Grabbed my hair, started tugging and pulling on it, and tried to pull me out of
Now, Richard is in between the two of you.
Yes.
So she's pulling your hair past Richard's nose.
Yes. And
Got
he's
it.
trying to get her hands off of me. Okay. And she's trying to pull me out the passenger window. And I'm seatbelted
over
in.
Richard.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. And so he's trying to get her hands free from me, and he finally does. Okay. And so she got really threw a temper tantrum, you know, and she started kicking my car on the side, on the passenger door, and making dents in it. And at that point, I was stunned, I was shocked, I was scared. I started the car, and I proceeded to take off. So then I approached a stop sign. I had stopped, and I was just taking off, you know, and I was going about 15 miles an hour, and she hit me in the back of my bumper with her truck. And I went a couple more feet. I hung a U-turn. I stopped, and I said, you know, I'm going to call the cops. And she started burning her tires in her truck, and she sped away the opposite way. And then after that, I went and I dropped Richard off at his house, and then she proceeded to call me for several hours afterwards on my pager, you know, putting in her phone number to identify
Go ahead,
her,
keep going.
whatnot, and so on.
Okay. And is that
so
what
that's
happened
it.
that night?
Yes.
That's what happened. When did you contact the police?
The following day.
Let me see the police report, please.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why did you go over to the house 10:30 at night?
Because it was his birthday, and I chose to. He was my boyfriend.
Can I see the bill for the car, please?
What was that?
The bill for the car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jill Anderson says her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, Bobby Joe Morris, assaulted her and damaged her car. Bobby Joe denies the charge.
Okay. There was a restraining order issued. Is that right? There's an application
Yes.
for a restraining order.
There is.
I have the application dated the beginning of June.
11 days after the incident, I was served with temporary restraining order papers, which I responded to. We went to court for those orders. We were granted mutual stay-away orders.
Just a second. The incident was reported the next day. You may not have been served papers until some time after that, but the incident was reported the same day.
Okay.
And she was, in fact, granted a protective order.
We both were, ma'am.
She was. You may have been. You may have been, but you never filed a police report.
Why? It would be false. A police report of what?
Listen to me.
Okay.
Listen to me very carefully. She filed an application for a protective order. She was granted a protective order. That's what she says happens, and I assume you have a bill for any damage to your
Yes.
truck. Is that right? And how much does the bill indicate will be to fix it?
$2,029.62.
Can I see pictures of the truck, please, and the damage? Okay.
I believe it's this way. There you go.
Show these to the defendant, please, Bert. Thank you. Now, Miss Morris, you went to see Richard that evening, the evening of June 5th, and that was approximately 10:30 in the evening?
Close to, yes.
And why did you go to see him at 10:30 in the evening on the 5th of June?
Because, number one, it was his birthday. I was the manager of my daughter's softball team. We had a softball game that evening. We didn't arrive back home until close to 9 o'clock. Richard had been sick for since Tuesday. He hadn't been feeling well. He was ill. So in the evening, after I got home and got all the kids delivered everywhere and everything, I went over to see him. I had talked to him approximately 3 hours prior to. He did not go to a Jackson Rancheria
Just a second.
or anything else.
When you spoke to him 3 hours earlier...
He called me about 7:30, I'm going to say.
Yes?
On my cell phone that evening while I was at the softball game.
Tell me about your version of the conversation.
My version of the conversation, he asked me how the game was going. I told him, you know, it should be over close to 8 o'clock. We would get back home, and then I'd come over to see him.
And what did he say?
Okay, he'd see me later.
Doubt that. I doubt that. Does Richard work?
No.
Does Richard work?
No.
You mean he just chose not to come today?
Yes.
Okay, so you got over there at 10:30 and you found Richard, with whom you had, according to you, a date, sitting in a car talking to Miss Anderson, who you knew and who you knew he had been involved with. Is that right? Yes, of course, that's right. And tell me what you did.
Okay, first of all, I went to Richard's parents' home, is where he lives, and I pulled up into the driveway. You have to walk into the back. He lives behind his parents' house. I walked back there, expecting that he would be there. He was not there. I stood at his door and I knocked, and I called on his telephone. Got no answer. I left him a message telling him obviously somebody had brought him Feel Better pills, because he was obviously feeling better than he was at 7:30 because he wasn't home. So I left from their driveway. There's also rear access to this property, which is where I saw Miss Anderson and Richard sitting in the car. It was not at their residence. It was in an open space in a field behind the home. There's a big gate that you open up, and it goes directly to where he stays.
So you went back there to look for him?
So, yeah, I went to the back gate.
Just a second. So you went back there to look for him?
Right.
After you left him a note on the door?
No, I didn't leave him a note. I left him a voicemail message.
Oh, you left him a voicemail message that said you must have gotten a Feel Better pill.
Right.
And then you went looking for him?
Because his truck was there.
Just a second.
Sure.
Then you went looking for him?
Sure.
Okay, and you found him sitting with the plaintiff?
Sure, yes, I did.
Go ahead. Let's hear the rest.
Okay. I approached from the rear. They were sitting up close to the fence. I came up in the field behind their car, pulled up along the passenger side because I assumed that it being Jill's car, that Richard would be in the passenger seat if he were there. Rolled my window down. Richard rolled his window down. I asked him, what's really going on here? And he said they were waiting for a friend of his to bring them something or whatever. And at that time, I stated to him that he needed to send her on her way. He did that. They discussed whatever in the car. He got out of the car, and she left. Now, he and I had words at that point, and I wasn't happy with him. This has been an ongoing harassment situation that I've had to deal with from Miss Anderson for the past almost 7 years. So at that point, I told Richard, I'm done, because I had previously, about 8 months ago, had discussion with both of them and told him I was done doing this. I was done.
Why did you go over to the house 10:30 at night?
Because it was his birthday, and I chose to. He was my boyfriend. That's why. I went there to give him his birthday gifts. That's what I went there for.
Can I see the bill for the car, please?
What was that?
The bill for the car!
Yes.
Miss Morris, I doubt the veracity of your version of events, that you went there to give him his birthday presents.
It's the honest to God truth. You don't have to believe me.
Yes, I know. And that he had, in fact, made an appointment to see you that evening, and that you got there and found him with her, and that you said to him, you best come outside so that we can have a talk. This after you told me that you have been harassed by her for the last 7 years, that you had conversations with her before to stay out of your life, and all of that.
Because
good
she came
stuff.
to my...
I'm speaking.
Okay.
And all of that good stuff. I doubt the veracity of how you say that evening went down. And I find that you did, in fact, cause the damage to her car, that you did, in fact, pull her hair, which didn't cause her any serious injury, it didn't cause her any injury at all. I do hope that neither one of you have anything to do with Richard anymore. He sounds like quite a loser. In any event, you are responsible for fixing her car. The total cost for her car looks like to me $2,029. What year car is this?
It's an 86.
An 86 what?
Honda Accord.
How long have you had it?
3 years.
How much did you pay for it?
$4,000.
Okay. I think you're going to have the car fixed for $1,000. This car that is now almost 20 years old. You should be able to have it fixed for $1,000.
Okay, can I?
Just a second.
Okay.
Now we're going to get to your harassment. She was granted a protective order by virtue of the fact that she filed an application for a protective order which brought this matter to head in court. Subsequent to her filing an application for a protective order, you chose to go to mediation when you said, well, she's been bothering me too. She's been calling, et cetera, et
No,
cetera.
that was not the nature of our mediation.
Go ahead. What's
the nature of our mediation was, number one, I would like to let you know I don't have any kind of a criminal or civil background of any kind.
It's okay. She doesn't have to have a prior criminal background. Neither do you. In order to be granted a
But
protective
to
order,
me-
you lost your temper.
You lost my temper. It
Yes, you
didn't
did.
happen.
You did
It
lose your
didn't
temper.
happen.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. Listen, common sense has to rule. Common sense to me suggests that when somebody with as poor judgment as you have, to subject your children to living with their father and your boyfriend in the same house, has a relationship with a guy, and at the same time as he's having a relationship with you, living in your home, sharing your bed, having a long-term relationship with somebody else, and you permit that circumstance to continue, that when you finally have had it up to here, and at 10:30 at night, after a long day with your children, get in your car to go over to give him his birthday presents and find him in a field, alone, in a car with the woman who has been harassing you for the last 7 years, that you do absolutely nothing to her or her car. That defies credulity. I do not believe it. For 30 seconds or less, you can tell me why I should consider your harassment counterclaim inasmuch as she was granted an order of protection. Go.
Okay, first of all, as far as the damages go, I'd like to say something regarding that.
Listen to me.
Okay.
I've made a judgment with regard to that.
Okay.
Pay careful attention.
Okay.
I'm now on your counterclaim.
Okay. And I'd like to also, can I show you these pictures? I've had surgery on my leg. There's no possibility, no way for me to kick, not even that high on her vehicle. So
Did you hear what I said? Harassment. Tell me about it. You've used up 10 of your 30 seconds.
Okay, the harassment has been since 1997. Miss Anderson came intoxicated to my home, called me and told me she was on her way there.
When? Give me a year.
1997.
Not interested. Get to 2003.
2003, she continually calls my home. I've had for 5 years on my phone a block from her calling. I've paid for about almost 6 years on my telephone bill for her to not harass my home.
Okay.
Okay.
When was the last time you filed a complaint against her?
I've never filed a complaint.
How come?
Probably for the same reason she's never filed one against me.
If someone harassed me for 6 years, causing me to put a block on my phone, and continued to harass me, I would have at least made one report to the police. Wouldn't you have?
Probably so.
Probably so. Probably so. Well, next time I would document it. If she continues to bother you, keep a record of how many times she calls. Next time she calls your house and harasses you, I would suggest that you call and report it to the police, and I'll be more than delighted to hear your counterclaim. For now, it's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm happy with the verdict.
I'm glad it's over with.
Finally, she has to pay for what she's done. You know, you can't go around damaging people's property and not be responsible for it.
The real root of the problem is she's jealous that Richard threw her out of his home and he moved in with me, and we've had a relationship for the past 7 years that she's been very jealous of.
No, that's not true.
She can fully have Richard. He belongs to her.
The truth is that it was his birthday and we were out at Jackson Indian Casino gambling.
I'm done. Washed my hands of the whole thing.
I'm fed up with her.
Is suing her ex-boyfriend's father, John Frowner, for the money she put into a car. John is countersuing for impound fees and an unpaid parking ticket.
Yeah, this is case number 113 on the calendar in the matter of Dana versus Frowner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Dana, the defendant is the father of your boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. Is it ex?
Correct, ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend, who is currently in jail.
Correct.
You claim that you had a contract with the defendant, and it was a verbal contract.
Correct.
That you and the soon-to-be ex-boyfriend had a car. The car
Correct.
was in Mr. Fowler's name, but you were making payments on it.
Yes.
And you say that Mr. Fowler told you that if you continued to make payments faithfully on the car, as soon as the car was paid off, he would turn over the title to you.
Correct.
So you and the boyfriend drove the car till the boyfriend was arrested. You continued to make payments on the car, but then you no longer became a couple, and according to you, you believe that the boyfriend told his father you'd take back the car from her.
Correct.
Well, then you got pulled over for something. Didn't have insurance, or the tags had expired on the car, and the car went into impound.
Correct.
See how easy I'm making this? But I'm going to
Yes.
ask you questions soon.
Okay.
I just have to start the story from beginning to end, because otherwise Bird would lose interest.
Okay.
So the car went into impound, and you wanted to get the car out of impound.
Yes.
But you couldn't get it out of impound because the title to the car is in Mr. Fowler's name.
Correct.
He wouldn't let you get the car out.
That's right.
And then he took the car back. And you want all the money that you put into this car.
Well, a portion.
because I put over $5,000 into the car.
Mr. Fowler says, well, while you did have some sort of an agreement, the agreement was that he would let you drive the car as long as you paid for it, and that you did drive the car.
Yes.
But you were late on the payments. And he found out you were late on the payments when he went to try to get a loan out or something, and you were destroying his credit. His son might have told you not to get the car back, too. Is that right?
Yeah, he insinuated that.
What?
In a way. He said that in a way, yes.
Listen,
that,
let's not play with each other, sir. He didn't say that in a way. He said, get the car back from her.
Yes.
Shh. So because you were late in your payments, and because his son told him to get the car back from you, he did, and he's counterclaiming because he says he was forced to pay impound fees because you didn't have tags on the car, and a parking ticket that you got. So that's what this case is about. Were you ever late on any payments?
Yes, I was late on payments.
How many?
I was late on a few payments. However, he never said not one time, if you're late on payments, that I'm going to take this car from you.
Well, what did you think he was going to do? Throw you a testimonial dinner?
No, but...
He was going to get you cake?
No.
Send you a bottle of champagne?
But he never said that he was going to take the vehicle from me. I understand that I was late on payments.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Did you ever own property before that you financed?
Yes, I had a vehicle at the time when I took over the car. When I took over his car, no.
Did you finance it through a bank?
Yes, I did.
Do you still have the car?
No, I sold the car after I took over the car with Mr. Frowner.
When you had your vehicle and it was financed through a finance company, what did you think would happen if you were perpetually late in making the payments?
They would then repossess the car.
Right! So you thought that it was okay to be late on your payments with Mr. Frowner?
No, I didn't think it was okay, but I was going through little problems at the same time. I was also helping his son out that was in jail.
That has nothing to do with the car.
Yeah, that's true. However, that was deceit from his son as well as him from the time that I met his son. He was a bank robber. I never even knew that. That's how I came in contact with even taking over the car note.
Shouldn't have done it.
I felt like I was doing them a favor. I had the car for 2 years, and at the time that he took the car, the payments were on time. He took the car out of my possession without even saying anything.
He didn't take the car out of your possession, Miss Dana. He took the car out of the pound because you were irresponsible in not having the car registered.
Ma'am, the registration was only not even 30 days late. The registration was due in February. I got the registration in March. And Mr. Frowner, the car was getting impounded, I called Mr. Frowner as the car was getting impounded.
Why did they take the car to impound?
Because the police officers were being jerks. They didn't have to impound that car.
Because there was no registration on the car that was current. Is that right?
Yes, but it wasn't. They give you a 30-day grace period.
Evidently not, Miss Dana.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He didn't
When
even
did
have
you...
a job.
Shh. What is he in jail for?
He's in jail for robbing banks, Your Honor.
Well, then he had a job.
Can you believe that?
Robbing banks gives you money.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Dana claims her ex-boyfriend's father, John Frowner, took back a car she was paying for. John says not only was she late with payments, but the car was impounded.
Seems like the world is against you. You're late in your payments on his credit. You weren't doing it on time because you had all kinds of other troubles. You were doing him a favor in taking over the payments on the car, according to you. You weren't doing him any big favor. The car gets repossessed. He's finished.
If I wouldn't have took over the payments, the car would have been repossessed.
Perfect. Then he would have been in no worse position than he is now.
But the car notes weren't late consistently for the 2 years that I had the vehicle.
Doesn't make any difference, madam. That affects his credit.
Yes, it affects his credit, but at the same time...
So you have no sympathy for me. You didn't do the right thing. You didn't make your payments on time. You didn't have the car registered.
I had the car registered before, prior to. So? It was just a few days behind.
Miss Dana, you're 31 years old. You have to grow up. You have a responsibility to pay a car note the first of the month. You pay a car note the first of the month. You have a responsibility to register the car by the 30th day of a particular month. You don't wait for what you perceive to be an automatic grace period of 30 days. You're not a baby. You're 31 years old. Okay. Stop blaming other people.
Okay.
How much did you pay every month for the car?
I paid $389 a month.
What kind of car was it?
It was a 2000 Monte Carlo. SS Edition. And even before then, he should have said that before. He should have taken the car away from me in the beginning when the payments were first delayed. Why wait 2 years to let me practically pay off a car and then take the car from me? That's not fair.
Well, maybe we're going to find out. Mr. Frowner, how did you find out that the car payments were late?
From the finance company.
How did that come about?
Because they threatened to repossess the car.
Did they write you any letter?
Yes, they wrote letters.
Do you have those letters with you?
No, I don't have those letters. I have a history, a detailed history of the payments.
Let me see. What did you do with the car, sir?
I still have the car in my possession.
You still have the car in your possession. Are you making payments on the car?
Yes.
Okay. And in what year did Miss Dana start making payments on the car? When it was new in 2000?
No.
When?
July of 2001.
Was your son driving the car before that?
Yes, that's right.
And they were together?
Yes.
So you don't know who was making the payments, she or your son?
No, he was making the payments.
Okay.
He didn't
When
even
did
have
you
a job.
What is he in jail for?
He's in jail for robbing banks, Your Honor.
Well, then he had a job.
Can you believe that? Just like I said,
quiet! Robbing banks gives you money. I'm not approving of it, but he had a car. The loan was being paid off because he was robbing banks. He was out there and he was employed. The fact that the government doesn't approve of his vocation doesn't mean that he didn't have money to pay off the car loan. Now, when did he go into prison?
March of 2000.
No.
When did he go into prison?
May of 2001.
501. Believe me, his father knows when he went into jail. And was it starting in May of 2001 that she started to make the payments, Mr. Frowner?
Your Honor, we put the car up for sale.
In what year?
In May of 2001, after he was incarcerated. He was supposed to get the money to obtain an attorney.
And what happened then, sir?
The car was on the lot to be sold, and someone broke into the car. He had a lot of equipment on there. Miss Dana, we got together and we went and got the car. Ever since then, Miss Dana had the car.
So she's been paying on the car for about a year?
Yeah, which I made some payments myself.
Show me.
That's a lie. That's it. That's a lie.
Do you have any proof, Mr. Frowner?
No. That's a lie.
Do you have any proof, Mr. Frowner, that you've been making payments on the car?
I wasn't making those many, but I did make some.
You have any proof?
No.
Then I find that you didn't make any.
Okay.
When was it impounded?
The car was impounded March the 14th.
March of 03?
Correct.
So she's been making payments about 22 months. Times 385?
389.
378.
I have a.
Let me see.
378.
And even on this page, and even on that form right there, where I sent my payments through MoneyGram, it would even show where if I was late on the payments, I made up for the late fees and everything.
That doesn't mean his credit wasn't affected.
But
do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. I sure do.
Good. So if you think you're going to get all your money back, you're wrong. But Mr. Frowner can't take advantage of the entire situation. Do you understand that, Mr. Frowner?
Yes.
Yes,
Your Honor.
What kind of car had you traded in?
Well, I sold my 1997 Nissan Sentra to a coworker.
And what were your payments on that car?
$320.
And you plan on keeping this car, isn't that right, Mr. Frowner?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in the process.
$8,316 is what you paid so far. What interest was your loan?
15%. I have a copy of the contract here.
Can I see it, please? You put down $9,000?
Yeah.
Remember what his son was doing. Taxpayer.
You didn't?
No.
Okay. I've deducted the interest. Got about $58.82 if you take away the interest for 2 years. Now, how much do you think minimally you'd have to pay to drive around a car a month?
If I leased a car for 1 month, $300.
Right. Well, I'm going to give you credit for $200. So it would have cost you about $4,400 or $200 a month to drive around in a new car. That's a lot less than you were paying on your old car, a lot less than you were paying on this car, because there's wear and tear and depreciation, and I'm not getting into that, but it seems to me you should get something. You should get something for the money that you put into the car, not $5,000.
But he agreed. I even have a witness here that stated that that I can have the car. So here's my witness.
You can't have the car if you were late. You were late in the payments. That was your agreement. You make the payments. You didn't make them on time. It's not your car. You didn't put down the $9,000 deposit. You're not going to pay off the rest of the loan. You drove around unregistered. You caused his credit to go down the toilet. You are not entitled to the car, madam. And if you don't understand it, I can't explain it to you any better. You got to do the right and responsible thing. He can't totally benefit from the fact that you made payments on this car for 2 years. You understand that, sir?
Yes.
You have to give her something, because she did, in fact, make payments,
Yes.
even though she was late. And I'm not going to let there be a windfall for you or for your son who is incarcerated. So
and
you're
that's
going to
the only
give...
reason why he's taking the car away from me is because of his son. Before
That may
he had
be.
no problem.
Miss Dana,
even with the car being
Miss
late.
Dana, if you had done everything right, and you had made the payments on time, and you had gotten the car registered, and he came to your house, and for no reason whatsoever took the car away from you, you would have gotten your $5,000. You didn't do everything right. You ruined his credit by making late payments. You didn't register the car punctually so that the car was impounded. Do you understand?
Yes.
So you didn't do everything right. Therefore, you don't come out a winner. You, however, sir, are suing her for the impound fees because you say at the time the car was impounded, you didn't have the money to get the car out on that day. And on that day, she wanted you to get the car out. So you're not getting your impound fees. You got a nice car and somebody else was paying the note on it. So don't cry to me. I'm not interested. And you're going to give her $1,472. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, she breached the whole contract.
He never stipulated if the payments weren't on time that I would take the car away from you.
Well, she's trying to get her money.
His son was upset because I'm now no longer writing him or going to visit him out of state where I was spending thousands of dollars to do that.
I'm not being led by my son.
All this time, I'm thinking he's in the music industry and he's out robbing banks.
And now the next case.
All parties on Jameson versus Rogers. Step forward, please.
Taxi dispatcher Christine Jameson is suing her sister, bookkeeper Lisa Rogers, and Lisa's husband, Kent, for the return of belongings that she had stored. Lisa says Christine is a drug addict.
Miss Jameson, the defendant, Miss Rogers, is your sister, and this is your husband?
Yes.
This is not a very difficult case. Let me just get to it. Miss Jameson, it is your claim that your sister has your stuff. She took your stuff when you went to jail for a period of time. She won't give you back your stuff. You want $5,000. Your sister says you can have your stuff whenever you want it. It's in storage. All you have to do is pay the storage fee, because she's not paying for it anymore. And the reason you're annoyed with her and this whole thing started is because she recently adopted your 3 children, and the adoption was finalized in February of this year. Is that right?
Yes.
How old are the 3 children?
11, 10, and 9.
How long have they been in your physical custody?
Since 98.
Were they given to you by the courts?
Yes.
Your sister's parental rights were terminated?
Yes.
Okay. Why were you in jail the last time when your sister took your property at your request?
They said that I was under the influence.
So it was a drug-related arrest?
Yeah. But as soon as they found out that I was clean, they let me out of prison and off parole.
Fine. How long were you in prison?
A week and a day.
And when was that?
It was February 13th.
Where's your stuff?
In storage, I guess.
Her stuff in storage?
In storage, yes.
All of the stuff. Where did you get it from?
She was living with my father in a mobile home. Everything was taken out of the mobile home because he was evicted due to her drug trafficking.
All I'm asking you is, her stuff was taken out, furniture, clothes, everything else?
Everything was put in storage.
Did you tell her that you put it in a storage unit?
No.
When did she find out that you put it in a storage unit?
The day she got out.
Which was?
The 21st of February. I picked her up.
Why didn't you take it out the 21st of February?
Because it's in her name.
Did she go up there with you once?
Yes, April 7th.
What happened on April 7th?
I opened the storage and told her to take what she wanted. She took a small box of makeup. That was it. She didn't have room to put anything else.
Fine. Very, very simple. The court will issue an order that as soon as you pay the storage fees, Ms. Jameson, you can go and get anything you want out of that. You can empty it out, and you are going to do that within 5 days. Is that fine? Then you can get all your stuff. Why?
I can do it today.
Fine.
They have to be there,
Perfect.
though.
Will you put your hand down? Will you sign and notarize letter that she is entitled, as soon as she pays, all the storage fees to go in and take whatever she wants out of storage?
Fine. What about my jewelry she has?
Do you have any of her jewelry?
Yes, I do.
What jewelry do you have?
I have a bag of jewelry, I paid $100 for this, so she would not pawn it.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Give it to her. You don't want to bother.
I don't want any part of it.
Bird, take the jewelry. Give it back to her.
What about my $100 I gave her for that?
You have 3 nice children?
Oh, yeah, of course I did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got the jewelry back. You go get your stuff as soon as you can pay for it. I'm telling you that she doesn't have to maintain the storage anymore after next month. Listen to me very carefully, which means the storage company has the ability to snip the lock and take your stuff and throw it in the garbage. So you have 48 hours, because you said you can do it today. So you have 2 days to go there. Pay for the storage. I don't know how much it is.
What about my dad? Doesn't he have to pay half? Half of it says she put it in there. I didn't ask her to.
You want your stuff back?
Yeah,
You pay
I want
the
it all back.
storage. Do you understand?
That's fine.
Good. How much is storage?
$395.
You have the money?
Yes, I have the money.
Good.
Do I get everything that's in the storage?
You get everything that's yours in the storage.
I have pictures of her items.
Then she would have to have my dad pay for his other half. Why should I pay the full storage?
She's not having her dad pay for anything. You have to pay $395 if you want to get your stuff out of storage today. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah.
Period. Goodbye.
Why does that excuse? You may step out.
This proved all she wants is money.
I mean, all I wanted was my stuff. I didn't want the money. I just wanted my stuff.
She got thrown in jail and got her father kicked out.